want to have another conversation about going gray rock. I know there's a lot of conversations out about it. If you've done research about narcissism and dealing with it, gray rock has come up, and everybody understands what it is, what the purpose is. But I learned something also in addition to the general information out there that I wanted to share today. And learning this has helped me really stay focused and true to gray rock, which is actually really critical for, I'm just going to make it about myself, for my own health while I'm in this situation. If you're new here, my name is Anne with Lavender Kisses. I talk about different challenges people face while they're on the recovery road for CPTSD, emotional abuse, codependency, also dealing with challenges of hard relationships, including narcissistic and other toxic types of relating behavior. Now, going gray rock. So, if you have a narcissist in your life, or you've tried to figure out how to deal with a tricky person, gray rock has come up. And just a general recap is gray rock is when you do not emotionally react. Basically, you act like a gray rock. Great description. Okay, so I was in a situation where I was ending my marriage, and we were still living together in the same house, different rooms, for 2 years while my marriage was ending. And long story short, we're just trying to keep the children stable until we were able to move across the country and separate and begin our fresh lives. So, after lots of prayer and contemplation and things like that, it really was going to be the best situation for me, and I can see now why. However, how does somebody survive during a situation like that? Now, I'm not sure. I don't want to get into the dynamics between my husband and I too much at this time, but I definitely want to get into the gray rock portion. And I will get into more of the dynamics of it later, once I kind of hash out what is the most above board way to do that. Part of my own personal value is that I don't want to ever throw anyone under a bus. I don't want to demean people. However, I also want to live in reality. So if someone's relating in a harmful way, I'm not going to pretend that they're not, but I also want to relate back in a way that honors who I am as a person and is respectful, that in a way that my children see as respectful, but also maintains boundaries. So it has been a challenge cohabitating, and part of what has been helpful is using the gray rock method. So he can go along his business, I'll go along mine. We talk about the critical things or things that we have to with the kids, and everything else is just gray rock. However, in order to do so, I have to ignore every little bit of fakeness that I feel. There's an energy component to people. And if you've dealt with tricky people, you've noticed this. I'm going to do a video later on energy vampires. I had a really distinct experience regarding this that was really eye-opening to me. But as far as gray rock goes, even though I was going gray rock and not responding, it's not as if I didn't feel anything. So the bits of fakeness that I would see, fake empathy, fake care, fake whatever, felt like a stab to my gut. So this is happening, hundreds of times a day. And for a very long time, I didn't react. I went gray rock. However, being a person, sometimes you hit a limit where your boundaries have been crossed and violated just one too many times. So I went through a little phase where I would speak up. I wasn't going gray rock. I broke gray rock. Okay. And I would speak up when I felt like my boundaries were being crossed, as in, why did you take my vehicle without asking? It would have been fine, just please ask first. We're still living together, so you have to deal with somebody on a daily basis. And there's just was a pattern of me not being considered, which, is a big reason why, I did choose to divorce, and I do get to make those choices. However, while I'm still living in this situation, I can't expect someone to treat me different than what their pattern is. That's just how it's going to be. And I started speaking up and saying these things, and it was okay at first. It was the same pattern of them saying okay and then still doing whatever they wanted. So it was frustrating. And what I noticed over time of me going through this phase of, again, sticking up for myself while in the living situation I was in, was that in that moment, it felt kind of nice to stick up for myself, but nothing changed, and it just grew my frustration. So all I was doing was growing my frustration, because this is a person that's already proven to me they're not going to change. And even though in that moment it might have relieved a little stress because I was standing up for myself and not having to swallow that over and over again, it led to energy leakage, and I would notice I would feel more tired later on in the day and ensuing days. And it led to growing and growing and growing frustration until one day I ended up yelling at this person, which I did not want to do. It was pointless, and that's not who I am anyway. And I went, okay, how did I get here? Oh, I broke gray rock, and I was trying to relate to this person as you would a healthy person that respects your boundaries and who you are. Okay, forget. You can't deal with someone that has toxic relating behaviors in a healthy manner. You can't. So I went back to gray rock, and this is what I noticed. I doubled down on my resolve to be gray rock. No reaction. Good morning, good morning. Good night, good night. All the little things of the fake empathy that were stabbing me in the stomach, I just chose to ignore faster and faster. Versus before I would ignore it, but I would allow the pain to simmer of what fake empathy felt like to me. And now what I did is I just chose, nope, the whole point of this is to get to point B right now, biding time, maintaining things for the children. Those are the priorities to get to B, which is in a few months, the divorce will be finalized and the move will be made. The point is not to have someone hear my boundaries and to hear someone respect where I am. So when that feeling of fake empathy would hit me, it's not just gray rock as in my reaction. It's I had to go gray rock to me even noticing their actions. So I could have an ear open, to make sure, he's doing his side of the bargain where, it was his morning to do breakfast while I did other duties. And so I've got half an ear open to make sure my children are being fed. But any sense of fakeness or this or that, I have to gray rock my receiving of it. So it's not just a gray rock of what you output, it's a gray rock of what you're inputting. And I had to really get solid again and resolve again on what the values were that I was hanging on to. It wasn't peace and it wasn't being heard. My values were completely gray rock to this person because we're just maintaining what I can for the kids at this moment. So gray rock is vital, not just so that they don't get fed their supply, which is a term that we've all heard out there. Gray rock is vital for your survival and for you to be able to maintain and be your best in a situation that isn't the best. So I hope that's helpful. Please let me know if you have noticed anything interesting about gray rock. I feel like there's a little bit, there was like that piece missing to it for me to fully get how it was helpful for me, because, the whole time my boundaries are being ran over, which doesn't feel good. And so I have to gray rock to how that feels to me. So I hope that's been helpful. And until next time, take great care.